Hello there, friends. Cards of Light, Bright Blessings of the Tarot with Brian Noe on a Sunday morning for the Sunday Morning Spread, June 12th, 2022. Good to be with you again this week. Thanks for joining me. Let's go to the table for our four-card energy reading. As usual, we're looking at the four dimensions of life: the physical, the social, emotional, the mental, and the spiritual dimensions. And we have two majors and two court cards this week. Here in the first position, in the physical dimension of our lives, we have the Empress. In the social emotional, we have the Devil card. Up in the mental, we have Knight of Discs, and then the Prince of Cups makes an appearance in the spiritual dimension. Let's take these one at a time. The Empress, card number 3 of the majors. This is the card of nurturing, of creativity, that sort of beautiful mother energy. It is the card of the natural world and of nature. And so I think coming as it does here in the physical dimension this week, I think that is urging us to get outside, get out in the fresh air and the sunshine. Use good sense, wear your sunscreen, wear a big hat and maybe long sleeves, but get out and soak up some of that natural goodness that is what sustains us and nourishes us. Get out in the green space if you can. Wild spaces are better if you can do that, but get out and enjoy the natural world somewhat. It is easy in our age, especially where I live here in the United States, to sort of get lost in our houses and in our offices and at our screens, and forget that wherever we are part of a larger natural ecosystem, really. So it's good to get out and recognize that, not just enjoy it, but it gives us a better sense of who we are and what we're doing here when we take time to do that. So especially important in the week to come to get out into nature. Over here in the social emotional dimension, we have the Devil card. And I think of this card as about deception and that sort of thing, but principally I think of it as being about bondage. So it could be about addictions of some sort, but sometimes about the lies that we tell ourselves as well, the things that keep us restricted and bound to things that do not serve us very well anymore. So coming as this does in the social and emotional dimension of our lives, I'm getting a strong sense that this is about a relationship that is not working somewhere. And it could, again, be the relationship that we have with ourselves, but something that is just weighing us down. We're pulling it along like a ball and chain, and it is not doing us any good. So to the extent that we can identify what that is, and if this is resonating with you as something that is speaking to you this morning, maybe take a look at those things that aren't serving us very well anymore and try and kind of break those chains and get them out of our lives. And if this is a substance abuse or addiction issue, or if it's a toxic relationship, there are ways to get help for that. They're not always right out in plain sight, easy to find, but they are there if you look. So please don't suffer because of something like that. Get a hold of somebody that can help you, and try to break those chains, whatever it is that we're dealing with here. Okay, up here in the mental dimension, we have the Knight of Discs. And this is the card of the slowest moving energy in the deck. I've compared it before to the energy of an oak tree as it's growing. It starts out as something very small, gets planted, gets what it needs in terms of nourishment, first from the soil and then from the sun, and year after year after year it grows until it's this huge tree. That's the energy going on here in this card. So in the mental dimension, that is a reminder, and it seems like we say this nearly every week, but I think it is an important point to plant good seeds. And I'm getting the sense that this card this week in particular means let's be patient. Be patient with ourselves, be patient with our progress. But in the mental realm, let's be careful where we focus our attention. Let's plant good seeds day in and day out, week in and week out, and eventually we'll have something strong and beautiful and great to show for that effort. You can't install an oak tree. It has to be planted and nurtured. So let's take a look at where we can do that, particularly in the mental dimension of our lives this week. So this may be, commit to reading a book a month or something like that. Commit to reading or studying a little bit every day, a certain amount of time. If it's 10 minutes, if it's 20 minutes, make that promise to yourself and keep it. And sooner or later, you will have learned a lot. Over here in the spiritual dimension, the Prince of Cups. And this guy on this card is troublesome. This is turbulence. This is air of water represented in this card. So like a hurricane blowing in. Coming in the spiritual dimension, this card also represents kind of craft and skill, but sometimes deployed in a way that is not good. Sometimes deployed in a way that is abusive, that may even be violent, that may not be toward loftier goals. It's the card of ambition. And so coming as it does in the spiritual dimension, I'm not getting a real strong intuitive hit from this card, but I would say that in general it is about some turbulence there in the spiritual dimension of our lives. This could be formal things that we are doing spiritually, or it could just be anything that we draw strength from, draw meaning from in our lives. Maybe some stuff kind of turbulent and not pleasant coming this week. We just need to be prepared to weather that storm and realize that, like anything else, when a storm blows in, it eventually dissipates and passes. And so hard to say what will be coming this week, but an interesting spread whenever we see two majors like this. That's some pretty solid energy going on there. I would say the key to this spread is really the stuff over here on the left. Nurture ourselves, get out into the natural world if we can, and plant good seeds in the mental dimension of our lives day after day. And that will help us weather these storms and deal with whatever we're dealing with over here in the social emotional. So that's the way I would read this one. It's interesting. I've just noticed the colors of this spread, and it's kind of interesting the dichotomy here from Empress and Prince of Cups, which are, greens and blues. And then we've got these earth tones here with the Knight of Discs, and also with the Devil card, some golds and browns and things like that. I don't know the significance of that, but it is interesting and it's kind of pretty. I love this deck. I had avoided using this tarot deck for several years, and it was finally the art that got to me. It was like, man, some of these images are just so beautiful. And so once I began to play with this deck, I really, really enjoy it. And the meanings and the symbolism and stuff, as I learn more about that, I enjoy that as well. But it is just, it really is beautiful. So would encourage you to take a look at it if you have not yet. I'd love to hear what you think about this deck. If something in this energy reading is speaking to you or resonating with you, I'd love to hear that. And if you're a card reader and have other thoughts or other ideas how you would read these, I would love to hear from you as well. You can either leave comments here with the video or pop on out to the weblog at brightblessingstarot.com and you can find my contact information there. I plan to be back on Thursday for our 3-card Thursday again this week. In the meantime, I hope that you are happy and healthy and safe. And until we meet again, take good care of yourself.